Good morning, YouTube. So, what is this video about? I am not, or I wasn't, very pleased with the RaceTech fork spring kit for my CRF300L here, because it was, in my estimation, too stiff. And I really tried to push it, you know, on some dirt, on some really rough stuff, just slamming into dips and edges, ledges, as hard as I could, and I still only used, I calculated 68% of the travel, and the travel is 10.2 inches on the front. So what I did was I called RaceTech, and they said, well, gee, you know, we've never heard that before. In talking with him, he said, well, I wonder if that plastic spacer tube was incorrectly cut at their end, because it sure was a mess, you know. It was, all the drill tailings were hanging out on the inside of the tube, all had to be cleaned up and deburred. Anyway, he said the tube should be 330 millimeters. So yesterday what I did was I took the fork off again and took it apart, took the tube out, measured, and it was about 335, maybe 334. So overcut. So it had at least 4 millimeter more preload than it should. So what I did was I cut it down. I cut it down a little bit more though. I cut it down to about 327 millimeters. So that's a 7 or 8 millimeter difference from when I had it in before. And I carefully watched the amount of oil as well, because it calls for 500 cc of oil in the left fork. And if you put in exactly 500 cc, you're probably overfilling, because there's a certain amount. There's no way you can get out all the oil clinging to the sides and everything. It's a volume, right? So I put in about, I don't know, 596 cc or 496 cc, somewhere around there. So I'm trying to be accurate. Anyway, I'm going to test it out here. Going to head up on some dirt, and we'll see what it's like. So far, I can tell that the front end is just a little lower. And that's good, because the rider sag in the front, with the way it was after installing the spring kit, was too high. The sag wasn't enough, you know. It was, I forget the amount, but anyway, it wasn't enough. So now it feels like the sag is about where it should be. And we'll see how it performs on some hits. Okay, I know that this trail has some good bumps and stuff. If you see what I mean. Okay, so I'm not exactly flying over all this, but it should test out the fork somewhat. And if it's a little better than what it was before, then I'm happy. Okay, let's get it on the road and we will check out where the zip tie is now. Okay, so it has moved. Yeah, it has moved. It was, I don't know whether you can see, but right here, there was a line where it was before, and now it's substantially below that. Bottom out is just above my finger there. So it would be ideal if the zip tie would have gone around here, maybe to about 85% of travel, but at least it's improved. And quite frankly, you know, my riding, I mean, a lot of people could make the suspension work a lot more than I'm doing, eh? Mine was, like I say, cut too long by RaceTech, so I've corrected that and then a little more, you know. So I think I'm happy with that. I'm satisfied. The front end feels better to me. It feels at a better height, you know, compared to the rear. Feels more balanced, you know, with the sag. And it handles well for me. So I think that's the end of the story. If you're getting this RaceTech fork spring kit, I would say, yeah, it's a great idea. Just check it out carefully, because that Delrin tube, I'm telling you, unless they've cleaned up their act and how they cut that, in the meantime, it was pretty crude. So you got to check it. Look inside and clean out any drilling tailings and such, and deburr it before you stick it in your fork. And check the length. If it's for the 300L, it should be 330 millimeters long. As I've said, mine was longer. And another little tip for you if you're doing this is, it's if you've watched Jake the Garden Snake's video of how he put his in, you'll see that it's a little tricky getting the Delrin tube dropped into the fork, and while at the same time keeping the damping rod up so that you can put the cap on and the bolt. So what I found is easy way. It goes down by gravity, right? The rod. So tip it sideways a little bit, not enough to drip oil out, but sideways enough so you lessen the gravity effect, and the rod doesn't go down very much at all. And then you can slip the tube in and grab your rod, and all is good. Well, that's about it, folks. So if you got any comments or questions, put them down below. If you've got the RaceTech fork spring kit, let me know how you're satisfied with the stiffness. And if not, what you've done about it. If you got any questions, let me know. So you ride safe, and I'll catch you on another video.